Journey from Mother's Back to Solitude. In the beginning, the world was small. It was no bigger than the warm curve of a mother's back, no wider than the gentle rise and fall of her breathing. From that place, everything felt safe. The air carried familiar scents. The rhythm of life was steady, and fear had no name. There was no need to search, no need to struggle. The world came to us, wrapped in warmth and care. On a mother's back, time moved differently. Days were not measured by clocks, but by hunger and rest, by sunlight filtering through leaves, by the quiet moments between heartbeats. It was a place of learning without lessons, of comfort without questions, a place where survival was shared, not earned. But nature does not allow anything to remain small forever. One day, the world began to feel larger. The ground seemed farther away. Sounds grew sharper, more demanding. Hunger lingered longer. The mother moved differently now, less still, more alert. Her gaze traveled beyond the familiar paths, as if she were listening to a call only she could hear. That call was change. At first, the idea of leaving felt impossible. How could safety exist anywhere else? How could warmth be found without the shelter of her body? The thought of separation brought a quiet fear, one that settled deep in the chest. Yet, the world does not ask if we are ready. It simply moves forward. The first descent from the mother's back was not graceful. It was hesitant, trembling, uncertain. The ground felt cold and uneven. Every step was a question, and every sound felt like a warning. Instinct whispered to return, to climb back to what was known. And for a while, we did. We climbed back up, again and again, seeking reassurance. Each return was met with patience, but also with a gentle firmness. The mother did not pull us closer this time. She allowed the distance to remain, not because she no longer cared, but because caring sometimes means letting go. With each attempt, the world became a little clearer. The ground no longer felt entirely hostile. Sound began to form patterns. Fear did not disappear, but it changed. It became something to listen to, not something to obey. Then came the day when the mother stopped waiting. She stood still, her back no longer offered as a refuge. Her eyes met ours, not with rejection, but with understanding. In that moment, something shifted. The journey was no longer about following. It was about becoming. The first steps alone were heavy. Loneliness arrived quickly, filling the space where warmth once lived. The world felt vast and indifferent. There was no shared heartbeat now, no borrowed strength. Every movement required effort. Every mistake carried consequences. Yet, within that solitude, something unexpected emerged. Awareness. For the first time, the wind had a voice. The ground told stories through texture and temperature. Hunger became a guide, teaching where to go and what to avoid. Pain, though unwelcome, became a teacher. Failure, once terrifying, became a lesson instead of an ending. Solitude was not empty. It was full of challenges, full of choices, full of responsibility. There were moments of longing, moments when memory pulled us backward, when the image of the mother's back appeared like a dream just out of reach. In those moments, the world felt cruel. The journey felt unfair. Why must growth require separation? Why must strength be born from discomfort? Nature never answered those questions directly. Instead, it offered quiet truths. Each day, survived alone, built something unseen. Muscles strengthened, senses sharpened. Confidence formed slowly, not as pride, but as trust in oneself. The fear that once paralyzed now acted as a warning system, not a cage. We learn when to run and when to stand still, when to hide and when to explore, when to conserve energy and when to take risks. These were lessons that could never be taught from a mother's back. They could only be learned in solitude. Time passed, measured now by seasons rather than heartbeats. The world changed colors. Paths once unfamiliar became known. The environment, once overwhelming, began to feel navigable. Not safe, but survivable. And within that survival, meaning emerged. Solitude did not mean abandonment. It meant independence. It meant carrying forward everything that was given in the beginning, the care, the lessons, the protection, now transformed into internal strength. The mother was no longer visible, but she was not gone. She lived in instinct, in caution, in resilience. Every wise decision carried her influence. Every moment of patience echoed her presence. The journey from the mother's back to solitude was not a loss. It was a transformation. In solitude, we discovered identity, not defined by attachment, but by experience. Not protected by another, but guided by awareness. The world no longer felt like something that happened to us. It became something we moved through with intention. And one day, standing alone, strong and alert, we realized something profound. The journey was never about leaving the mother behind. It was about carrying her strength forward into a life that demanded courage. Solitude, once feared, became a quiet companion, not a place of loneliness, but a space for growth. A reminder that survival is not only about enduring, but about adapting, learning, and becoming. From warmth to uncertainty, from dependence to awareness, from protection to purpose. This is the journey nature demands of all living things. A journey from a mother's back to the strength of standing alone.